That's what I'm talking about. Some Taron Egerton on Richard Madden action, playing with their rockets. Man. Rocketman, burning out his fuse up here alone. Released in 2019 and is directed by Dexter Fletcher, who is also behind such films like Wild Bill, Eddie the Eagle, and the last 2 weeks of production on Bohemian Rhapsody, because Bryan Singer is one big piece of shit. And this film is starring Taron Egerton, Jamie Bell, Richard Madden, and Bryce Dallas Howard. And the reason why we're talking about Rocketman today is because it was a PayPal recommendation from one of my biggest fans and contributors on this channel, Autumn Blood. Thank you so much for your contribution, and thank you very much for recommending this movie. I did pick it up a couple of years ago for Black Friday, and this is just one of those movies that I bought, it sits on the shelf, and I've never plugged it in to watch it. So thank you very much for helping to force me to finally watch it. I'm so glad you did, because this film was pretty magnificent. If any of you want to be like Autumn Blood and make a contribution to this channel to help it grow into something bigger than what's been the last couple of years, you can make a PayPal donation by clicking on the donate button on the main page of my YouTube channel. Any size donation will do, and if you have a movie that you really want me to review and give you a shout out here in the channel, you can attach your movie with your donation, and if I have access to it, I will watch, review it, and give you a shout out on the channel. Rocketman is a dramatized, fantastical musical of the life of Elton John. From his early days as a music prodigy as a child, and entering the world of rock and roll and stardom, and his collaboration with songwriter Bernie Taupin. But of course, for anyone who followed Elton John over the many decades, knows that he was into a lot of drugs, alcohol, shopping, and a lot of shit. So eventually we get to Elton John entering himself into rehab, and watch the evolution of Elton learning to love himself. And really, whenever you decide to watch a biopic, a dramatized biopic on a musician, I mean, it's really the same plot for all of them. You were very talented as a kid, you got started, you struggled for a little bit, and then you made it big, and because you made it big, you started going down the drugs, sex, and rock and roll route, to the point where you couldn't handle it anymore, and all of a sudden you are a major addict. But usually there is some type of redemption at the end where they defeat their addictions and become a better person. For the most part, that is the formula of all biopics on musicians. So the core of this movie, to be honest, is nothing special. We've seen this before. However, I think it's always fascinating to learn about an artist who you have loved listening to their stuff over many years. And watching this movie, I realized that, wow, I really don't know that many Elton John songs. I know the big ones like Rocket Man, Your Song, and Tiny Dancer, but there are songs in here that I'm like, okay, so that's kind of sounds familiar, but I do not know the lyrics whatsoever. But it is a nice little gateway for me to go down the Elton John road now and download his music and start listening to it, the vast majority of it. But the one thing I will say that this film has going for it is, yes, it is a standard musician addiction, defeating addiction type movie, but addiction is not the main message that we have here, or the main culprit of why he's in this dark place. This movie is about mental health, and one man's journey into realizing that being yourself is okay, and learning to love yourself, because you've been told for your entire life that no one would love you properly. And this is a Hollywood film, it's a dramatization, so the real life of Elton John, I know there are several artistic liberties taken here with certain characters. I'm sure his parents don't like this movie at all, but the message of what we're getting here, we need to take those artistic liberties, because we need to show that this character hated himself, wanted to end his life, couldn't have a relationship with anyone because he didn't know what it meant to be loved by anyone. And I will say that I have never felt myself relate to a pop star, to a celebrity, as much as I do now with Elton John. I have sat down at the dinner table and have been told that I'm a disappointment, and have been told very shitty things, maybe unknowingly from my parents, but I have been told those things from my parents to the point where it has affected me emotionally, and where I keep myself closed off from a lot of people, even including my wife a lot of the times, where it becomes hard for me to show emotion, and where it's hard for me to vocalize my feelings if I'm feeling depressed or stressed or angry about something. The same thing goes with Elton John here. He's told at an early age that no one will love him, and then when he tries coming out to his parents, he's either shrugged off or he's told, you know, you're choosing a life of solitude and loneliness, and no one will ever love you properly. I've been told that, and I get where this guy is. Needless to say, this film is very triggering for me. I remember driving home and coming home and just kind of keeping to myself because I just felt that depression come back on for me, and just felt that anger inside of me. And I was trying to tell myself, you know, don't be angry. There's no reason to. You've become a strong person. You've tried to oust yourself away from people that have been toxic for your entire life, but still, watching Elton's story here and watching the pain, the mental pain and suffering that he went through, I just relate to it, and it affects me and it triggers me. So big kudos, I think, are owed to the storytelling device here of, hey, it's not just about this guy's addicted to drugs and that's bad. No, this person has mental health issues and needs help, and needs to realize that it's okay asking for help, and realizing that, you know what, you are a good person and you don't need those people who are toxic in your life. Big kudos to the development of this film with that aspect. And also big kudos needs to go to Taron Egerton, who at first, when he came on screen and he's wearing that big, loud, fabulous, flamboyant getup, I'm thinking, okay, this guy, he's not Elton John. He looks nothing like Elton John. Elton John wishes he looked this good. I mean, hell, have you seen Taron Egerton in Kingsman? Jesus Christ, dude. But as the film went on, and you start seeing Taron Egerton perform in these Broadway-like musical numbers, you start to feel the Elton John energy that he had. And eventually, by the end, I was thinking that Taron Egerton was Elton John. He gives an amazing performance here. He deserved way more recognition for what he does in this movie. I mean, he did win the Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Musical or Comedy, but, I mean, it's the Golden Globes. It's like 60 people vote on that. But like any Hollywood movie that's based on a musician's life, they typically come out in pairs. Back in 2004 and in 2005, we had Ray Charles with Ray, and Walk the Line Johnny Cash. And Jamie Foxx got all the praise and accolades for his performance, while Joaquin Phoenix, yes, was nominated for an Academy Award, but I think deserved to win it way more than Jamie Foxx did. Joaquin gave more of a performance, whereas Jamie Foxx, I think, did more of an impersonation of Ray Charles. And same thing goes with Taron Egerton for Rocketman, and Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody. Malek got all the recognition, which, I mean, he looked okay as Freddie Mercury, but the film itself is a frickin' mess and not effective at all. Here, we actually have an acting performance from Egerton, and he is fantastic. The emotion that you feel, the nuances, the little ticks, it's not an impersonation of Elton John. He's making it his own thing, but yet staying true to the spirit of Elton John. His performance is fantastic. He deserved way more recognition for this. I feel like maybe he had a little vocal damage by performing in this film, because he does all of his own singing, unlike Rami Malek in Bohemian Rhapsody, but I feel the way that he sang these songs for this film, it did some vocal damage. I've listened to a couple of interviews with him, both before and after, and the after ones, he is very hoarse, almost speaking in constant vocal fry. So I guess I hope this film was worth it. I'm sure it was. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Plus, you actually got to work with the actual artist that the movie is based on, which that's really cool. Richard Madden plays the sleazy and slimy music agent who is one big giant cock in all sense of the word. But you'll never hear me complain about Richard Madden being on screen at all. And shit, he's naked in this movie. I'm satisfied. And Bryce Dallas Howard is here as Elton's mother, who's always talking about how much she works hard and gives up for her child, even though the entire film, she doesn't lift a damn finger to help him. She has her mother, Elton's grandmother, there doing the actual work. God, if that doesn't sound like my parents, I don't know what does. Again, those aspects, her performance is triggering to me because I don't want to get into my life, but yeah, it's very similar to what happened to Elton as a young kid. Like I said before, this film is a fantasy musical, and we have set pieces and sequences in here where everyone breaks down and into a big, what seems to be a Broadway showstopper piece. Choreography, set pieces, and props being flown in and out seamlessly. I love it. To the point where you could easily transition this film into a Broadway production. And I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of years down the road you actually see Rocketman on Broadway. I see it now as the curtain goes down, Elton and everyone else involved in the creation comes out, and they all take their bow. Yep, that's definitely happening. This film was an absolute delight. The musical sequences here are great. Taron Egerton is magnificent in his portrayal of Elton John, making it his own, not an impersonation of Elton, and it affected me emotionally. I felt very close to this movie. It triggered me in a lot of aspects. I really felt for this character. If you have not seen Rocketman, it is wonderful. You need to see this. And if you are trying to decide whether to watch Bohemian Rhapsody or Rocketman, if you're trying to pick one or the other, it's Rocketman by a long shot. Like a rocket shot long shot. I'm going to give Rocketman 4.5 out of 5 Blu-rays.
It's good. It's good. Good.
Alright everyone, now comes my favorite part of my videos where I randomly select which movie I'm going to be watching next, so let's take a look. Friday the 13th, The Killer Cut. This Friday is Friday the 13th, right? Yeah, it is. Wow. That is... what a freaking coincidence. And it's August 13th, which is the day that I married my wife. That's perfect timing. The movie's a piece of shit, but that's perfect timing. This is the remake, I think, in like 2009, I want to say, with Jared Padalecki, Sam from Supernatural. Sam! I watched this once with my wife because she had a huge crush on Jared Padalecki. When we watched it, though, I remember... really the only thing I remember from this movie are the disgusting, pervish sex scenes in this movie. And like they're having dialogue, but it's while they're having sex, and Jason's running around killing everyone, but they're still fucking. So, great, I get to watch this again. If any of you have recommendations of films that you want me to review on here, you can make a PayPal donation on the main page of my YouTube channel. Any size donation will do, just attach your movie recommendation with your donation, and if I have access to it, I will watch it, review it, give you a shout out on the channel, and get my review of it published as quickly as I possibly can. So guys, if you've seen Rocketman, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before, and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you on the next time I'm releasing my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time with my review of Friday the 13th, The Killer Cut. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.